Johanna with Spotlight. We're here at the fabulous, lovely, one of my favorite hot spots, Babaluu Supper Club. Joining me here is one of the owners, Nubia Solano. Nubia, how are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'd love to have this exclusive. Tell me a bit about the story about Babaluu. How did it all start?
Wow, that was quite a while ago, and it was a dream to have a place in Yorkville that was Latin descent, owned by a woman. Well, my partner was a man, but directed by me and sort of created by me. It was my baby, my brainchild. And I always believed that I'm Colombian, so when I used to travel to Bogota, I think, why does Toronto not have anything where you can actually have a great meal and do great dancing, and have everybody from the age of 25 to 80 come and join the night. And then with my partner Trevor Berryman, I presented the idea. He was a restaurateur for many, many years. And he really believed that there was an opportunity to do this.
Nubia, so you started this fabulous restaurant, Babaluu, back in 1994, originally on Bloor Street.
Right.
And then you went to, right here, 136 Yorkville Avenue, and back in 1996. Tell me, what were the challenges you faced as an entrepreneur?
Well, being a very young woman in Yorkville, attempting to do at that point a tapas bar. People didn't know what tapas were. They used to think it was a topless bar. That's how, people just didn't know that. Yeah. And being Yorkville, Latin bars don't belong here. They belong out in the ghetto somewhere. So that in itself was already like a huge challenge, and just embarking in a project that could have flopped or could have just been the most amazing thing. But I had a lot against, against my flow, if you will, from statistics, Yorkville is not known for that, and women entrepreneurs in the restaurant, like restaurateurs, there were like none that I knew of then. So that was these challenges were probably the biggest obstacles I think that I had to jump.
So Nubia, tell me, what really started Babaluu? What the name? How did it all start? Why did you choose Babaluu out of any other word? Why Babaluu?
There was a show called the I Love Lucy show from the 50s. And it was a lovely show. I think most of my generation and up would know the show. I was quite young when it was out, but it played and played up to it's still playing, I think. In that show, it was the characters were Lucio and Ricky was a Cuban club owner, and Lucy was his wife, and he owned a club called Copacabana. But in that club, every night that he performed, he would always open the night with Babaluu, and Babaluu is it comes from Santeria, so it's a god of good or evil depending on how you appraise it, and it goes back to the whole idea that the Cubans could not have capitalism, so they had to create their own sort of version of their god, and Babaluu was one of them. So that's a little bit of the history of the name. The name I chose because of that mix of culture. It was this Cuban man in the 50s married to an American woman, having this Latin bar. And interestingly enough, as soon as I picked the name, and people would come and go into Babaluu, they'd be like, "Oh my God, Babaluu, like Lucy and Ricky." And somehow it stuck. It was very rhythmical, and it had an association. So it made sense that it would be the right name to use.
Nubia, let's talk about TIFF, all the hot celebrities that came here, that dined here. This is really, truly one of the fabulous places for Latin American cuisines. Personally, I love to dine here. I love La Paella, which is amazing, which is by our executive chef, Roberto. Fantastic. Who dined here? Is it true Drake, Mark Anthony, and Jennifer Lopez came here?
Mark Anthony's private launch of some CD he did. So I got to meet him personally. So it was a beautiful thing. I'd like to sit and chat with him for a half an hour was amazing. So yeah, he was here on a very private, private sort of event that they booked the club for. We also did Gloria Estefan's birthday party. We did her 40th birthday party. And yeah, there's been many other actors, I guess now, that have come through Babaloo just to come and hang out, or just to do a little opening of some movie or CD or.
Let's talk about, if you have to give advice to an all young entrepreneur or somebody that wants to get into the restaurant business, because let's face it, the restaurant business is a tough business.
Yes.
You really have to have a thick skin. You really have to have the chops to get into this business.
Yes.
What kind of advice would you give to somebody wanting to start a small business, a big business, or a large business?
You have to choose something that aligns with your passion. If you're doing it because you want to get glitzy and money, it's not going to work out. You're going to burn yourself out. When you're absolutely committed to your reason, and like I was, I just wanted to really make a mark and invite people to have a beautiful experience. But that was my purpose behind it. The money and the sort of the glamour came afterwards, and I wasn't driven by that. I was driven by making a difference. Being a bit of what do you call it? Being a bit of a pioneer. I like beginning things from scratch. Making it. Do it yourself. Be creative. So the creativity played a lot, and the passion for my culture played a lot, and the passion for human beings, because I love the fact that I could have young and old and just kind of entertain them. So that's what drove me to do it. So yeah, my advice is you gotta make sure that it really does align with that commitment. It's a soul commitment. It's not really about anything else but that.